Welcome, everyone. Welcome to the Sports Boxx Podcast. This is episode number 1. I'm your host, Coach Martin. I love the intro. So we're super excited about today's episode. It's going to be titled Lost in Space. So this is going to be geared towards athletes that are trying to get recruited who are just stuck. You don't know what's going on. You're not getting any offers. You feel like you are lost in space. It's also going to be for the high school coach who has athletes underneath them. Because I promise you that if you're coaching athletes, a lot of them are going to be lost in space as well. And then the third group this is going to be for is for your sports entrepreneurs, somebody who, you love this space, you want to build a business in this space. And if you do, you're going to be working with athletes in this space. So you're going to want to know this stuff because most athletes, in my opinion, they're lost in space. Now, whenever I think of lost in space, I always think I'm going to go way, way, way back. But I think of the old show, the Lost in Space show I used to love when I was a kid. Right, and it was a great thing. It was a great show. But as an athlete, being lost in space is not a good thing, right? Because ultimately, you want to get to the point where you're no longer lost, right? So we're going to kind of give you a couple things. We're going to give you a to-do list, a checklist of stuff that you need to do. We're going to keep it simple. It's going to be basically 1 through 4. So if you're an athlete and you're not in the top 1%, let's say you're the 99, there's a great chance that the college coaches just don't know who you are. And the number one reason, in my opinion, as to why athletes don't get recruited is obscurity. These coaches don't know who you are, right? You're not on their radar. And I get it, but we're going to change that. So we're going to get to the point where they are on your radar and they know who you are. So we're going to look at it for number one, right? Step number 1. Before you do anything, you have to decide, do you want to get recruited? Because if you want a scholarship and you want to get recruited, it's going to take work. That means you're going to have to go home, you're going to have to put the Xbox away, and you're going to have to do the work that it's going to take to get recruited, right? You can't keep doing what you're doing and expect to get a different result, right? That's crazy. It's insanity. So we're going to give you some steps, but the first step I want you to do, step number 1, is you got to decide, do you want to get recruited? Do you want to get that coveted scholarship? Because there's only a few of those that go around. And if the answer is yes, then we're going to move on to number 2. If the answer is no, well, you might as well just check out right now, right? But decide, yes, I'm in, I'm all in, and I'm willing to do what it takes. I would even encourage you to get an accountability partner, somebody that's going to keep you on track and ask you every single day, are you doing the things that are necessary to get recruited, right? So get yourself an accountability partner. Okay, now we're going to jump into number 2. So number 2, you're going to want to get an assessment. Now, this is kind of how I look at it. One day, you guys and girls are going to get older. You're going to have jobs, careers. You're going to buy a home. And when you go to buy a home, odds are your first one, you're not going to pay cash for it. You're probably going to get a loan from the bank. But before they give you the loan, they're going to get an appraisal on the house. So they're going to want to make sure that house is worth what they're loaning you money for. So no different, right? We're going to follow the same template. You're going to want to get an assessment, an appraisal on your athletic and your academic abilities. So this is what I'm encouraging you to do. You can either you can hire somebody who's a professional. We have professional evaluators that go in and evaluate athletes. Or you can go to your coach, go to your club coach, go to your high school coach, ask for a 5-minute meeting, sit down with them and ask them to give you an evaluation on what schools that you should be targeting. I know that a lot of times athletes think that it's a D1 or bust, but that's not necessarily the case, right? If your athletic ability is D3 and you're targeting D1, man, you have no chance whatsoever of getting recruited. It's a bad game plan. So you're going to want to get a realistic assessment, and typically your coach will give you that third party. It's where it's not subjective, it's objective, and tell you where you should be targeting. Now, once they tell you, so let's say as an example, they tell you, you know what, Johnny, I think you're going to be a low D2, high D3 athlete. So this is going to be the plan. So whatever they tell you, 90% of the schools you target need to fit in that realm. So if it's a low D2, high D3, 90% of your target schools, and we're going to get in that in a little bit, but they should be, basically fit within that mold. And 5% could be your stretch and 5% could be your backup, your fallback. But don't have 90% being a stretch and 5% being where you're at. That's not putting you in position to win. So athletic assessment by a coach or by a professional. Secondly, you're going to want to make sure that you get an academic assessment as well, right? Because if you're targeting schools that maybe they fit your athletic ability, but they don't fit your academic ability, you're not going to be accepted. So make an appointment with your guidance counselor, set it up. It doesn't cost you anything, and let them know that these are the schools I'm going to target. What classes and what grades do I need to have to be able to, be accepted to these schools? It's super, super important. They say, I think the average athlete spends less than 6 minutes out of all 4 years with their guidance counselor. That just doesn't work. So you should be meeting with them at least once every single year, because your grades are going to change, and maybe you grow, or maybe your athletic ability gets better, and now maybe instead of high D3, low D2, now maybe you're targeting high D2 in AIA. You know what I mean? So stuff changes. So meet with your guidance counselor to get an assessment on, right, and make sure that you're on track. So number 1's decide. Number 2, get the assessment. Okay, now we're in the number 3. Number 3, you create now the school list. So in this example, it's D2. We're going to be targeting high D3. So you're going to want to target schools that are in that fit, right? So look up schools that are going to be a great fit. I would encourage you to do this with your mom and dad. Sit down together, do it collectively as a family, and figure out what schools are going to be a target that you want to go to. Now, you need to understand all the variables involved, right? If you live in Southern California, San Diego, and you're thinking, man, I want to go to a school in Wyoming, right? But you've never been in weather where it's 40 below, you might want to rethink that, right? Because once you're in it, it may not be a fit for you. So you're going to want to check all those factors and make sure, hey, I think I can go to this school and excel. So you're going to want to create your target list. Once you create your target list, put it up on the wall, right? So that way you can see it every single day, and you can write notes next to it on what you're actually doing. So you can check it, you can check your progress, right? It's putting you in position to be successful. Okay, finally, we're going to wrap it up with number 4. We're going to keep it easy. 1, 2, 3, 4. Number 1, decide. 2, get the assessment. Number 3, you're going to target the schools, your target school list. But number 4 is the grind. You have to grind. You got to do the things that are necessary for you to get recruited. I'll give you an example. I had a dad had a son call me yesterday. We did a 3-way call, and basically he's going to be a senior. He's a football player and hasn't got recruited, hasn't got anything. So I said, hey, what's the plan? Well, we haven't really done anything. Well, you have no plan, right? So you're not doing anything. So then the next response was, well, coach, we're going to be going to some showcases. Okay, great. But who's going to attend the showcases? Are you actually targeting those schools? Well, I don't know, he says. Well, that's just a bad plan, right? So you're going to want to have a plan. If you have 20 schools that you're targeting, who is the person that you want to get in front of? If you're a wide receiver, you're going to want to target the wide receiver coach and the athletic director, right? So connect with them on social. Well, 1, find out who they are. 2, connect with them on social. 3, right, make sure that you email them, connect with them that way. Now, if you're messaging them and you're emailing them and they're not responding, don't take it personal. Maybe A, they haven't opened it. B, maybe it's not even in their inbox. Maybe it fell in junk, right? But at that stage, you're going to have to call them, right? Because it's a communication. Listen, recruitment is like football and hockey. It's a contact sport. You're going to have to literally contact these decision makers and sell yourself to them on why you're going to be a great fit for their program. Now, it could be scary at first, but you can practice the role playing with family and get to where you're very comfortable on the phone. But listen, you have to play on the offense. This isn't about playing prevent defense and waiting for somebody to come and call you. It's just not going to happen. So 1, this is what you got to decide. 2, get the appraisal on your talent level. So get the assessment. Number 3, create your target school list. Super important. Put it up on the wall. See it every single day. And number 4, find out who the coach is, connect with them on all platforms, and start having conversations with them. Hey, this is who I am. I believe I'm going to be a good fit. And even if they think that you're not a good fit, they can give you some good sound advice on which schools to actually target. So if you follow these steps, I promise you're going to be in position to actually win your recruitment. And if you win your recruitment, you're going to be able to post those photos all over. You're going to be able to share with family and friends. You're going to be able to brag about it. It's going to be a great accomplishment, and you're going to be able to keep playing the sport that you love at your dream school. So super excited. Listen, follow the steps to success. If you have any questions, make sure you visit us on social or visit us on our web at www.sportsboxx.com. Super excited. And until next podcast, we are out.